Hello, and welcome back to the Anime Lore Nexus, the place where we break down the most complex worlds in anime. Today, we're taking a journey to the militaristic nation of Amestris, the land of alchemy, to uncover a secret history so vast and terrifying. It underpins every single event of Fullmetal Alchemist. We're going beyond the basics of equivalent exchange to explore the bloody foundation of the entire country, the conspiracy at the heart of the military, and the ancient, monstrous entity known only as Father, the Dwarf, in the Flask. To understand the nation of Amestris, we have to travel back centuries to the kingdom of Xerxes, a brilliant, ancient civilization that once stood where Amestris now sits. In Xerxes, there lived a nameless slave in a research lab, slave number 23. His life was meaningless, until one day, a researcher brought in a small, spherical creature born from the darkness of a flask, the Dwarf in the Flask. This creature was a homunculus, an entity of immense knowledge, formed from the black mass within the flask. It couldn't leave the flask, so it taught the slave its knowledge, how to read, how to write, and, most importantly, the secret of alchemy. The dwarf gave the slave a name, Van Hohenheim. The dwarf grew envious of Hohenheim's freedom and his humanity. He craved a body, a life, and a world for himself. He saw an opportunity. The fall of Xerxes, and the creation of Amestris. The dwarf, convinced the king of Xerxes that he could grant the entire populace immortality using a massive, nationwide transmutation circle. The king, desperate for eternal life, agreed. The dwarf's plan was a cruel trick. Using the massive transmutation circle drawn across the entire country, the dwarf performed an act of massive human transmutation. He didn't grant immortality. He sacrificed every single person in Xerxes. The catastrophic event resulted in the annihilation of Xerxes, but it achieved the dwarf's goal. He managed to separate his soul from the flask and infuse it into an identical replica of Hohenheim's body, creating the first Homunculus antagonist, known to us as Father. Hohenheim, tragically, also had half of the souls transferred to his body, making him an immortal container. The remaining half of the souls was claimed by the monstrous entity the dwarf had contacted during the transmutation. Truth. The birth of the homunculi, and the promised day. Now free, Father began a new project. He traveled across the land that would become Amestris and, over the centuries, began to create new life from his own being. These were the other homunculi, named after the 7 deadly sins: pride, lust, gluttony, greed, sloth, wrath, and envy. They were extensions of his own dark desires, bound to serve his will. Father established the nation of Amestris, perfectly circular country with a sinister purpose, to be the largest, most perfect transmutation circle in history. The major cities, key military installations, and even the paths of the train lines were all meticulously placed to form a new, even more gigantic circle. His goal was the promised day. The promised day was the day when a massive solar eclipse would create the perfect celestial alignment. On this day, Father planned to use all the life within Amestris as a massive sacrifice, performing a second, even larger human transmutation. But this time he wouldn't use the souls to gain a body. He intended to use them to open the gate of truth and absorb truth itself, finally becoming a perfect being. The seeds of conflict to complete his circle. Father needed one more thing: sacrifices. These were alchemists who had broken the ultimate tabuthos, who had performed human transmutation and survived. Edward, Alfond, Izumi Curtis, and even Roy Mustang all became unwitting participants in his grand design, their existence an essential part of the circle's activation. Father also needed to fuel his operation. The Ishvalan civil war was not a mere conflict. It was a carefully orchestrated genocide, a tactical move to create a massive amount of concentrated energy for his final ritual. The Philosopher's Stones, the key to temporary godhood, were made from the very souls of the fallen. This is the true nature of Amestris. A cage, a giant, slow-cooking sacrifice, waiting for the right day. Every state alchemist, every military officer, was either a pawn in the plot or directly one of the conspirators, all working to secure the human toll for the promised day. Final thoughts. Fullmetal Alchemist is a story of personal quest and redemption, but its power comes from this deep, chilling lore. The battle fought by the Elric brothers and their allies is not just against villains. It's against a deeply embedded, ancient evil that has orchestrated the history of their entire world for centuries. The terrifying brilliance of Father's plan is its sheer scope. He used a desire for immortality to destroy a civilization, then spent centuries building a new one as a cage for a second, greater sacrifice. It makes you realize that in the world of Amestris, the military, the government, and even alchemy itself are all just tools in one ancient Homunculus' attempt to overthrow a god. What part of this lore shocks you the most? Let me know in the comments below. If you enjoyed this deep dive, please give this video a like and subscribe to the Anime Lore Nexus for more explorations into the biggest and best anime worlds. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next Nexus of Lore.